Today our topic is multiplying and dividing fractions. So our essential question is, how can I multiply and divide fractions? Jump right in. First off, multiplying fractions. So you're going to multiply the numerators, which, reminder, that's your top number. And then you're going to multiply the denominators, which is your bottom number. We don't have to worry about common denominators with multiplying and dividing. We just multiply and then write our answer in simplest form. So here we're going to multiply 1 times 5. So 1 times 5 is 5, so it stays on the top. 4 times 3 is 12. And if we look at 5 and 12, we can't simplify that because nothing goes into both 5 and 12. So that's our final answer. For the second one, we have 10 times 11, which is 110. And then we have 3 times 6, which is 18. Now this one we can simplify. So if we look, they're both even numbers, so we could divide both the top and the bottom by 2 to simplify that. So 110 divided by 2 would be 55, and 18 divided by 2 would be 9. So that would give us 55 over 9. The other thing we could do is we could rewrite this as a mixed number. So to do that, we would ask ourselves, how many times can 9 go into 55? 9 can go into 55. If we think about that, it goes in 6 times, because 6 times 9 is 54. And then it has a remainder of 1. So that 6 on the top would become the big 6. The remainder of 1 would be 1. And then 9 would still be the denominator. So these two are actually the same thing, 6 and 1/9 and 55 over 9. We can write them the same way. Dividing fractions, so we're going back to keep, change, flip, like we had with subtracting integers. But it's going to be just a little bit different. First, we're going to keep the first fraction. Then we're going to change the division to multiplication. So we're going to go from dividing to multiplying. And then we're going to flip the second fraction. So to flip the second fraction, you have your top number and your bottom number. And you're just going to flip it. You're going to flip the two numbers. The bottom number will become the top number, and the top number will become the bottom. And then you just follow your multiplication rule. So we multiply and make sure to write our answer in simplest form. So keep, change, flip. Keep the first fraction, 1/6. Change the division to multiplication. Flip the last fraction, so we flip it around to 11 over 8. And now we just multiply. 1 times 11 equals 11. 6 times 8 equals 48. 11 is a prime number, and 48 is not a factor of 11, or a multiple of 11, excuse me. So that's our final answer. Here we have division, so we need to keep, change, flip. Keep that first fraction, 1/3. Change the division to multiplication. Flip the last fraction to 9 over 13. Now we multiply. 1 times 9 equals 9. 3 times 13 equals 39. Now this fraction can be reduced. They are both a multiple of 3. So we can divide both by 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3. 39 divided by 3 is 13. So we get 3 over 13. All right. And then the last piece is multiplying and dividing mixed numbers. So I kind of talked about mixed numbers at the beginning, but we need to know how to work with mixed numbers. So the first thing we need to do is change mixed numbers into improper fractions. So improper fractions is when the numerator is bigger or greater than the denominator. So that top number is bigger than the bottom number. That's an improper fraction. Multiply or divide using the rules we have already gone over. And then make sure to write your answer in simplest form. So here I'm going to show you how to change into improper fractions. We're going to make kind of like a half circle. We're going to start at the bottom number, and we're going to work our way up. So we're going to multiply the denominator with the whole number, and then we're going to add what our result to the numerator. So we're going to do 3 times 1, which is 3, plus 1, which is 4, and then the denominator stays the same. So 1 1/3 is the same as 4 over 3. Multiplication stays, so we have multiplication. And then 2 1/5. So again, we are still struggling to understand that. We're going to multiply these two and then add 1. So 2 times 5 is 10. 10 plus 1 is 11. So the top number is 11, and then that denominator of 5 stays 5. So 2 1/5 is really 11/5. You could also draw a picture to help you with that, 2 1/5. So 2 1/5 would be, we have 2 full pizzas that were cut into 5 slices. So we have all of those slices. So if we count those slices, that's 5 slices here, 5 slices here. And then 1/5 is when we have something divided into 5, and we only have one of those slices. So here we have 1 slice. 5 plus 5 plus 1 equals 11, and they were all fifths. So we have 11/5. So that's another way to understand it. But they are the same thing. So now we can multiply. We can do 4 times 11, which is 44, and we can do 3 times 5, which is 15. And that is written in simplest form since there are no factors other than 1 that go into both 44 and 15. Now if we'd like, we could change that back into a mixed number by doing 15 goes into 44. It goes in 2 times, which gives us 30. So we'd subtract and we get 14. So this would really be equal to 2 is that big number, because that's that top number. And then we have 14 pieces remaining out of 15. So 2 and 14 over 15. And then this last problem. We have 2 and 7/8. So again, we multiply the 2 and the 8, and that gives us 16. And then add 7. 16 plus 7 is 23. And we keep that denominator of 8. Divided by, and now we need to change this mixed number, so multiply 5 and 2. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 1 is 11, so we have 11, and then the denominator stays 2. Now this is division, which means we need to keep, change, flip. So we keep the 23 over 8, change the division to multiplication, and flip that last fraction to 2 over 11. Multiply. 23 times 2 is 46. 8 times 11 is 88. And if we look, these are both even numbers, so we can divide both of these by 2 to simplify. 46 divided by 2 is 23. 88 divided by 2 is 44. And now that fraction is in simplest form. And it is a proper fraction, not an improper fraction, so we don't need to change it to a mixed number. That's all the notes I have for you. Thank you for watching this video, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel.